Canadian community, but we will dip our toe across the border into our southern brothers and sisters in the US, and we'll have guests and such coming on. So there'll be some good opportunities for cross-community conversations. We've all of us, which you'll find out, have been in the community for a long time, longer than many jail sentences, and but we are relatively new to the Warlord brand of gaming, and this is what the podcast and the website focuses on. So we cover everything from Bolt Action, Blood Red Skies, Conflict 47, and much more, and all that to come over the next little while. So my co-host, Derek, who's going to say hi. Oh, and I better just remind you who I am, because it says you. I'm Craig Bodycoat, and I'm one of the co-hosts. So I'm going to hand it over now to Derek.
Hi guys, I'm Derek, Ninefinger, and we're going to go through a Beast Dice Hoser contributors that we have here. We have Sean, Matt, Evan, and Kevin, and we'll start off with Sean today. You can wave your hand, Sean, so everybody knows who you are, those that are not listening anyway. And give us a little bit of a hobby groove for you.
My name is Sean. I've been in this hobby. Bolt Action we used to play. Then we took a break. Back then I was mostly a Flames of War player. Then branched into just about any game I could get my hands on. Then I've been dragged back kicking and screaming into Bolt Action. I prefer the larger scales, Black Powder, and Flames of War has always been something I like. Not so much Team Yankee, but I've been playing with all the Warlord games now. I've got the Blood Red Skies, and I'm trying them all, the little Ancients and things like that. So, yeah.
All right. Matt, over there in the... just sitting around doing nothing.
Like usual.
The shit disturber.
I am not.
All right. Give us your hobby groove. Right? What do you do with the hobby? How long have you been in the hobby? What games have you played? What games are you currently playing?
Well, I was building and painting models since I was a kid, but didn't really get into gaming till about 2008, I guess it was, when I came across a store that Sean was playing Flames of War at, and got into that. Played that for a long time, probably right up until the pandemic, and that kind of put a damper on things. Lost a bit of interest in that, but got into Bolt Action again, like Sean says, and I think as my eyes deteriorated, the larger scale appealed to me, so easier to paint. And all the Warlord games are interesting. Like right now, working on some Blood Red Skies and that. So looking forward to what's coming out this year.
Nice, good to hear. So across the top, another contributor from us. You'll notice another accent. Craig is an import from England, and this one is from South Africa. Evan, go ahead. Tell us what your hobby groove is.
Cool, thanks. So, yeah, been playing Warlord games for many years. Took a break 2017, 2018 when moving over here, and then met you lot. Got roped into Flames of War and things like that. But as Matt says, bigger scale, easier to paint. Yeah, all the Warlord games appeal at the moment. Planning next Bolt Action list. Painting Blood Red Skies. Still need to finish off my Macedonians for SPQR and Hail Caesar. Finish my Celts for that. So yeah, and then we'll slowly dabble into the Black Powder kind of era more as time goes by, I'm sure.
Nice, excellent. And Kevin, the redheaded stepchild of the group.
I don't even have red hair.
You don't need to be a redheaded stepchild, son.
That's why you are.
I've been doing this for ever since the 80s anyway, and started like a lot of people with the large company that shall remain nameless, and had a huge squat army that terrorized the nation, and that's long gone, and got out of it for a few years and stuff, and then got back into it when I moved back to Toronto, and then got into found Flames of War, and then I found the group of guys here and actually relocated from Toronto to Burlington.
Just for us?
And then, yeah.
Oh man, you should know. No, really, you should know.
It was more work, but it happened to be in the same location. But yeah, then got into the Warlord bolt action, and then now what do we got? Bolt action, Blood Red Skies. I got conned into because I have a box of it. And what was the other two? Spork, and what's the one with the Roman legions?
Hail
Hail
Caesar.
Caesar.
Hail Caesar, thank you. Got that. A couple other things, and yeah, looking forward to trying all of them. And we got to do a giant campaign that takes us from the beginning of time all the way to the present. Has all the minis for it, and I've said it before. We got to do a campaign.
Hey, we could do future too. We could go into Judge Dredd.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes, yes.
And the bride that brought us all into this, Craig, give us a little bit of your hobby group. What's going on with you? How'd you get in here? Now you said a little bit earlier, but let's keep it all in one segment.
Yeah, so pretty much like everyone else, grumpy old guy. Been playing about 35 years. GW stuff mainly, and then I bumped into Matt and Sean in an old store that's closed down now for Flames of War. Played that for a long time, loved the historical kind of thing. And then recently got into bolt action and all the Warlord stuff, and which is funny because I used to work with half the guys who run Warlord games. So it was great catching up with many of those. And yeah, that's my groove now. That's my jam. That's what I'm into.
Nice. And myself, I'm Derek. I probably played the least of all these guys because I didn't get into it until about, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, which is much less than everybody else. And also, unlike anybody else, I started with Flames of War, moved into War Machine, some Infinity, finally came back with these guys to play some more, my first indulgence into Games Workshop, did a bit of a fantasy battle with an ogre army, got slapped with a former member of our group, really bad, decided I didn't like that game. Then got pulled back into it again with AOS, and now I'm back with Historical, so I'm quite a happy camper. So yeah, I just the Warlord games really entice me because I like the dice mechanic. I think it really puts a neat tactical interest into the tabletop gaming. It's not a you go I go or Alpha Strike wins or anything like that. It's just kind of luck of the draw, and you got to think on your feet a lot. So that really what drives me to play bolt action games, or Warlord games in general, bolt action in particular. So yeah, so going on to that, that's me. What do you want to talk about next there, Ted?
Okay, so what I'd like to do now, because most of the rest of the show is going to be all on basically what happened at Adepticon 2023. Some of us had been in 2019, and because of the pandemic, we weren't able to go till 2023. We loved it so much, and we decided to drag Matt and Evan down with us to this one. And we were there
before we
for
go any further, Matt's never been to Adepticon, but anybody who has been to Adepticon, remember the old raffle? The 2 times we went, he won the raffle, didn't go, and we had to bring that freaking thing back for him.
That's right. Yeah. And I went around and did all the scavenger hunt for him and stuff.
So sorry to interrupt.
That's right.
I just gotta point out.
No, it's good. Don't worry.
But he may be lucky in that. But if you ever seen him roll dice, you know that's where his luck ends.
Yeah. I do have T-shirts from an event I've never been to.
That's right. Yeah.
You need a game that has like low dice is good.
Oh, he just
No,
rolled
because that's
high.
when I roll high.
Anyway,
Yeah.
back to you,
Took
Craig.
his way.
Sorry for the sidetrack there.
No, it's good. It's good. So the gang went down to Adepticon over the few days, well, the entire time actually, the 5 days, and a lot of fun was had. Bars, restaurants, and gaming, and of that, our group played different games, but primarily we ended up playing some bolt action and Blood Red Skies and stuff. But what I'd like to do is for us to talk about and review, because we all participated in the doubles for bolt action, which was run by Chicago Dice. And I'd like for us to basically take a look at that, talk about what we thought, how well it went, give some ratings, which Derek will drive you through. And this is something that we can do anytime we go to an event. We can have each of us or all of us, depending on who went, to rate and compare events and stuff. So just a little public information announcement for the community out there, for anyone who's interested in events and how it went. So Adepticon, something we're going to go on about because it is North America's largest gaming event. It was a lot of fun, and we definitely recommend it. But let's dig into what the group thought of the doubles day at the Hyatt for bolt action.
So keeping with 6 Saturdays, we're not going to score from 1 to 5. We're going to score from 1 to 6. 1 being complete garbage, 6 being awesome. Like Craig said, we're going to talk about the doubles event in particular because all of us played in it. The teams were Sean and myself, Evan and Matt, Craig and Kevin. So you'll be hearing the teams talk about it as we go through it, but we'll be doing it on an individual basis. Starting with Evan, the rating that you would give the venue, comfort, space, sound, the shop, bar, amenities, anything else you can think of between 1 and 6, describe it and how it works.
Probably a
For you.
5.
Okay.
For me, the comfort, the space was awesome. The sound was good. There was it wasn't a noisy hall. It had proper sound absorption. The carpet was good. I wasn't standing on concrete. The shop and the bar were they could have upped their game for the number of people that they had. I say the shop because trying to order a drink which Craig and I love called a London Fog, they looked at us like we were speaking Latin. They just didn't have a clue. But otherwise, yeah, 5 out of 6.
All right, excellent. And Matt, thinking about your first trip to Adepticon, how would you rate the venue?
I'd go with a 5 as well. Like, it was really good. For all the things Evan said, I think it would have been nice if there was maybe a little bit more of a food choice there. I guess it's probably hard to do and organize, but just for those people that maybe don't have cars or don't want to take the whole break to run out and grab something to eat, just something, sandwiches, something catered, whatever. I'm not talking free, like obviously pay for it, but something like that might just be nice. But it far exceeded my expectations from all the little tournaments that we've been to. The way they ran it, it was awesome.
And before I go on with Sean, I should mention that because we were playing bolt action, we were in the historical venue. So if you've been to Adepticon and not played the historical, you were in the main hall, which was a concrete floor, big open space. This was very. We were at the Hyatt, right?
No, we were at the Hyatt.
Yeah, we were at the Hyatt playing.
Yep.
It was a much different venue, so we're not rating the main Adepticon hall. I think Sean may have had a tournament there with Battletech. So if you hear us describing it and it doesn't seem right, that's why. You were probably in the actual main Adepticon hall. So speaking of Sean,
sorry, I don't know if I could have handled the other venue. Like, it would just been way too sensory overloaded.
Yeah.
Like, it just, thankfully, this one was kind of intimate enough that I could concentrate on the game and not be distracted by everything that was going on.
So we say intimate. You're not saying candlelit dinner over a gaming table, right? That's
Well, that was for the B&B. Come on.
All right, Sean, what was your thoughts on the venue? Because you actually played in both, so if you want to compare them, go ahead.
I will. So we're talking about the Renaissance Schaumburg versus the Hyatt Regency. Now, the Hyatt Regency, this is only the second year they've been utilizing it. They used it last time, the time we didn't go, because it was post-COVID. They were just getting back on their feet. And then this is the second time they've used the Hyatt. So so let's start with the baseline. The baseline of any venue starts with the washrooms. You want washrooms that are clean with toilet paper and you can dry your hands. So they both pass. They both provide the basic necessities for going to a venue, and butt space. Now where this place is better than, well, okay, so at the Schaumburg, I had plenty of butt space. I was playing it.
So when
I
you're
wasn't
talking
on
about butt space, you mean out of the washroom,
Yeah,
right?
we're into the tournament now.
Yeah.
Remove
So I
from
want you to
washroom.
picture. I want you to picture Derek playing, and his back is to the next table, and then Evan is at that table, and his back is to Derek. Now I walk directly between them, and I don't touch either of them. That's butt space.
Yep.
No.
So
Not where I thought he was going.
Hyatt excelled at that.
Thank you for clarifying that it was outside of the toilet.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh no, I didn't say that. Actually, Craig said that. I was not precluding the toilet. But the Hyatt exceeded at that. Their tables, they had one room set up for the historicals and one downstairs set up for that Craig and I visited for Lord of the Rings. I think
Saga as well, wasn't it?
oh, Saga, yeah.
Saga singles, yeah.
But both rooms were the same. They were set up with plenty of room, nice big rooms, carpeted floors, and they weren't overly crowded. And I had plenty of room at the Schaumburg as well, but the where I dock points, so they go from average to better than average because of butt space. Butt space brings them to a 4. But the 5 and the 6 are out of reach. Just the shopping experience at the venue. If all you did was go to historical, you had to hustle to get over to the Schaumburg where the vendors were. That's unfortunate. And the vendors are worth going to. They were, varied and very interesting. And no matter what you play or what you're doing, plus the painting competition, which some of us are into. We really like to get into the painting side of the hobby. Then that's all at the Schaumburg. So none of that's at the Hyatt. And then the beer cart. The beer cart did show up at the Schaumburg, albeit late, but there was no beer cart at the Hyatt whatsoever. Fortunately, we brought our own booze, but
No, we didn't.
For
No, we
those
didn't.
reasons, I would bring it. Oh, no, we didn't. Apparently, I've been told to say that we did not bring any alcohol with us that we bought the night before into the event and then drank and passed around to everybody we played with, plus neighboring tables. So for those reasons, I would bring it down to a 4.5 because the Hyatt and the reason is the Hyatt is not set up they don't have the same level of care for conventions that the Schaumburg is. Schaumburg is dedicated to conventions. The Hyatt is a hotel that that has convention space and they're able to service conventions.
Excellent. So 4.5 from you. And then moving on to Kevin.
Yeah,
I
thought
know.
the venue.
This question was out of the blue, but maybe we'll give you a second to think about it.
I thought you were going to Evan first.
I've been.
Don't even.
Sorry.
I didn't even think about it. But what Sean said about the washrooms is a very good point. I didn't even think about that till he mentioned it. But it was very clean all the time, fully stocked, and that's a good.
Go
feature.
washrooms.
Yes, but I give it a. What are we doing? 5 pips out of 6.
6 pips. Your choice between 1 and 6.
5.
5.
It had great space. You didn't bump into people at the tables. People could walk in and out between you games and stuff and not be bumping into you and knocking tables and stuff, which was nice. Lots of space, even though there was other games going on, there were still open tables people were playing on and stuff. The carpet made a world of difference when you're standing all day. I stand around all day and it makes a big difference. Yeah, the venue, but no, the bar was only open from like 1 to 3. And then again, it opened at 6 in the hotel. So that was bad. Never went to the Starbucks, but we always stopped ahead of time. But no, that was it. Other than that, it was good.
So you,
Didn't get to check the pool. So
so the score was 5 then.
Yep.
All right. Craig, what did you give your venue?
I'm gonna give it a 5. I do agree with Sean that if you want all the buzz and the action, the shopping, you need to be at the Schomburg. But if I had to choose where I played, I would play at the Hyatt. It was just quieter, less people, carpeted, more space, less funk in the air, so to speak. I would.
The whole age group was about 10 years older or 20 years older than the other venues.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it was, yeah, and yeah, quieter, and it was just for gaming experience. It was all around better. I would say the fact that there was no beer cart and there was no beer. The bar was open at weird hours and stuff. I don't know if
We had
that's
a beer cart.
what
We never got
We
a beer
had
cart.
cart.
I saw
I
no
said. There
beer
wasn't a
cart.
beer cart. No
Oh,
beer
Are
cart.
you
Sorry,
talking
a
about
wine
my
cart.
cart? My
Yeah.
cart. My cart. No, we're talking about
Sean's got
No,
it.
hotel
we didn't
supply
have
beer.
a beer cart.
That never
It was
existed.
not our personal beer cart that never showed up. It was always there.
But the
Wine
bar,
cart.
the bar didn't. It was just weird hours, and that didn't make sense to me. That was them. Either there's some weird Illinois law that prohibited that on a certain days when the planets were in a
At the
certain
Hyatt.
alignment.
But not the
the
Schomburg,
Hyatt.
only at the Hyatt. Yeah.
Yeah, it was bizarre. So yeah, so I'm going to give it a 5.
All right. So I think I'm going to give it a 5 as well. Like most people said, it was very comfortable. The carpet was down, and there was obviously underlay under the carpet to help absorb some of that shock of standing all day. As a driver, most, if not every day, because it was my vehicle we drove down, or mine was one of the vehicles we drove down. I was really disappointed that I couldn't get a drink earlier in the day, and by the time the bar opened, it's like, well, I can't drink now because I don't want to be driving, and possibly I didn't know what the law was for what their alcohol, if you get pulled over, anything like that. So I was kind of disappointed with that. I never got to the exhibitor hall until the last day, and by that time, pretty much everything was gone. Everything I wanted was gone. There wasn't a lot left over. There was like stuff, but you could tell it was done. It was unfortunate. I'd like to see in the future maybe satellite shops for the historical from the exhibitor hall there. I know that's probably improbable because that means they got to bring that much more staff and that much more stuff down, so it's not going to happen. And also another thing would be maybe have 2 days that instead of closing at 6, it closes at 9, so the people from the historical hall can actually get over there. Again, probably not going to happen because you got a certain number of people there working a certain number of hours. Now you're adding more hours, so it was a little bit frustrating with that. Again, like everybody else said, it was amazing how much quieter it was. Maybe it was all us old guys getting ready for hearing aids or something. I don't know. But yeah, overall, it would be a 5 for me. Like it could be a 6, but that would be asking to go back to the Schomburg and have a room that has comfortable carpeting, and I don't think that'll happen. So I think they've maxed out in my mind with what they can do at a 5.
You could tell we're old though, because I imagine no young gamer would talk about carpeting.
And bathrooms.
They still have backs and spines.
I can tell you guys
to
are
mention.
sure.
Hmm?
So 2 things I forgot to mention was, the vendor hall to me, as opposed to being open exactly the same time as the tournaments, just open it an hour later and run an hour later. That would
Even 2
that
hours.
would
Like
cover
most
for all of
tournaments are
us.
starting
Yeah.
at 9. Close the
Yeah.
vendor hall at 8. Open them at 10 or 11, and have them there till 8.
12.
Like, that would be an easy.
Open them
Yeah.
at noon.
Push. And then even the people that are in tournaments in the Schomburg don't have to rush right from there. The game ends
They
at
don't have to
5:30 and
run.
then run,
Yeah.
run. You know, because I'm sure there's people. Because when I was there last time, and I was in the Schomburg, there was still a couple of days I couldn't get to the exhibitor hall because it was shut down by the end of my tournament. So I'd like to see that.
The other thing that I think we all forgot about was the lighting. The lighting in that hall was amazing compared to some of the gaming venues we've played at for tournaments.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
could see everything.
And that's something I
really
should
good.
mention too, as well. When we're doing these scores, we're going to make it obvious whether it's a convention or a local store, because the scoring is the same, but no local store could ever add up. Like if we use the same scale, a local score is never going to get above a 3. So we're going to have this split into conventions, local games, so that you can feel the difference between what you're running into. So going on next is tournament organization, and we'll start at the top again with reverse order this time. We'll give Kev so he can actually hear the question, think about the question, and I'll ask Evan. Kevin, we're going to come back to you. Evan, tournament organization.
Tournament organization was amazing. Everything from the players pack being in the reverse order, the stickers, so you stick it on your opponent's sheet, so you didn't have to try and understand some dodgy spelling or handwriting.
That was for
Through
the
to having
men's
thing, yeah,
Sorry.
your opponents, yeah. Through to simple, having a projector shining on the wall with the countdown clock as well as what table you are on for the next round. You could see it scrolling through. That just made everything awesome. I would give it a 5.5 and I would roll it up to a 6 for me.
All right.
Was it a 5.5 or a 6?
Yep, we got to know.
A
We got
6
to do the
because it's a whole dice, so 6.
Right. 6 it is. Matt, over to you.
I'd like to point out,
Oh.
actually, I don't know if we can do halves because we're talking about a D6, right?
Yeah.
Yes, we can't. That's why you roll up to 6. Yeah.
We'll round it up for
we,
you.
We
We'll round it up. We rounded up your 4.5 to a 5. Don't worry about that, Sean.
don't know how I feel about that, but okay.
Always
Now,
round
the
up.
D6
Always round
generation-
up.
The D6 generation use re-rolls for those halves, right?
There
But
you
isn't Sean's new rating out of butts?
Yes, it could
Whoa.
be.
In your mind, it's probably out of butts. Yes.
There we go. Matt's chomping at the bit. Your first time at Adepticon,
No.
first time at a tournament in Adepticon, how did you feel?
It's really hard to say because I haven't been to a lot of major conventions. Like we did the Flames of War in Ottawa the one time. Other than that, it's been all stores.
So a one?
So, sorry?
A one?
The one store?
No,
it's been a
I
couple.
said, are you going to give it 1 pip?
No. I'm gonna. I would give it high, but I don't know. I want to give it 6, but I don't have much to compare.
Did you go to the Sword and Board in Toronto with us that one time? That Lords of War
No, I don't
had a
think
bunch of events there. No, you didn't go to that one.
These are very
No,
I didn't go.
no.
Did it measure
Well,
up
there
to your
was the one that
expectations?
it
The one in
did.
Mississauga.
So yeah, I would give it like a 6 because it was awesome. Like everything Evan said, the display on the projection onto the wall of the time and who's playing, what table. The mission pack was awesome, knowing it ahead of time. Especially like I have trouble planning or just being overwhelmed. So show up to a game and that's like you're at the table and the guy announces what mission you're playing. I'm like rushing through the book trying to figure out what it is again, even though I may have played it 100 times, trying to remember it. So ahead of time, it's like give you a chance to think about it, where you want to put certain units. Evan and I could kind of discuss our plans and that. What else was there? The event. Beforehand even, just sending in the list and that. I found the guys at Chicago Dice were awesome. Had a couple quick questions and they were quick to get back to me. I may have not liked the ruling on 1 or 2 things because it wasn't in my favor, but it totally made sense. And give them credit for sticking with it.
Excellent.
Really. So yes, scheduling. I found there's a good amount of time between games. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, 6.
Excellent. Okay, Kevin, you've had enough time to think about this. You got an answer for us. What did you think of the tournament? The Sagatago dice put on for the doubles.
The doubles tournament was excellent. I'm trying to think. I would give it 6 pips. It was organized phenomenally. Getting the player pack like 3-4 weeks in advance. Like Evan said, everything was stapled backwards, so when you wrote out your scores, you could tear it off, give it to them. You didn't have to fiddle with all the papers falling apart. It was well laid out. The missions were excellent, and it had obviously been play tested to fit a tournament theme and stuff. I emailed back and forth with the TO several times over the months leading up to it, with just chatting and different things and stuff. And the scrolling on the wall of the table numbers and the players and stuff, and then the prize support. It was considering it's not an organized group, it's a group of people like us that decided to put on a tournament starting in 2018, and it's grown to this. They're not a corporation or a company or anything. It's just a group of people who came together and said, hey, let's put on a tournament. What do we want in it? And they did a phenomenal job. Phenomenal.
Excellent. 6 from Kevin. All right, there, Sean. Let's hear Papa Nurgle rain on the parade.
Well, I was going to say I'm going to Simon Cowell this shit, but I'm this because yes, there's a lot of perfect going on here. The player pack, excellent. At the event, excellent. Things are on the wall, but there's one thing missing. There's one thing they could have done. There's one thing missing. And it's one thing that, because I play a lot of different games, I get to use a lot of, and that's BCP. BCP, you log in, you see your opponent's lists, you know what you're going to come up against, you see it ahead of time. The matching is all there, the placings are all there, and it's pretty straightforward to use. Had they used BCP or an equivalent, I would give them a 6. Lacking BCP, I'm going to give them a 5. They are almost perfect in every way except BCP exists.
Always room to grow.
My phone doesn't support BCP.
No, you're a Luddite.
My
That's
phone
right,
doesn't.
We know that.
That's
all
a
right,
you
Craig, what do you think of the tournament organization? Do you think there's room to grow, or are you going to be like the main body of our podcast and give it a 6?
I'm going to give it a 5. I think that Sean's right with BCP. I think I thought that the organization and everything was excellent. I think that BCP, just for the only purpose is to organize the next round, so you know where you're playing and what you're doing, I think would make it a 6. The only thing with BCP is you have to do it way beforehand. You can't introduce it at the tournament. You have to do it weeks before. You've got to let people know how to register and how to upload their lists and how to do all these things and figure it all out, so that by the time they come to the tournament, there's not really any worries. And we saw the problem with BCP when we did the singles, and people that didn't know it just were like, what is happening and where's this come from? And so it's great when it works, and it's a disaster if you've no idea about it. But I would say that solid 5. The thing I loved about it that we're not touched on is the theme. I like the fact that they put in a theme. You're not obligated to deliver on the theme. I think there's probably a bit of a peer look down your nose at people who didn't do the theme, but the majority of players did do the theme, and I thought that was a good approach. It was really cool, and loved it. So 5 for me.
Excellent. For myself, I'm also gonna naysay it and put it at a 5. I think, like everybody's saying, BCP is just a nice, awesome way to get around the 5 copies of a list. Somebody passing the list across. Somebody you can look through it weeks ahead of time and maybe thought look at things that could be like, oh, how does this list work? And double check rules and help yourself understand the game a little bit more. Um, Other than that, like you can even run that for, still have the screen projecting the list, the game table designation, and then have it on your pad or your phone, whichever. I thought that the player pack presentation was awesome. The stickers for your name, so like Evan was saying, you don't have to, read somebody's chicken scratch. The 200 IQ moment where you pulled the last sheet off, because I was asking everybody, like, why is this in reverse order? It's like, oh, so you can pull the last sheet off. I'm like, oh my god, like, talk about on my
That was
part.
definitely 4D
Dude,
chess.
yeah, I was like, I would have never in a million years done that. I would have had everybody ripping the sheets apart. I thought the schedule was good. They were calling, even though the time was on the wall, you could easily look and see it. They still called out every half hour, like you got 2 hours left, hour and a half, hour, 30, 15, get ready for your dice down. The other things that the scheduling, it was pretty tight. Everybody was moving from place to place. I thought that was good. But like I said, there's always little room for improvement for me, so I'm just going to keep it at a 5 now, just because I don't want them resting on their laurels. I want them to work to get that 6. So with that,
Next time we're gonna have to start playing with D10.
yeah,
Then
then we have to change it all. Players, the people you played against. We were a team, so there might be some discrepancies on how we viewed our opponents, because obviously there was 2 of them and 2 of us. So, like, you have any rules issues? The resolutions for those issues, were they good? Whether it was for you or against you, was it a good resolution? How did you find the players? Friendly, boring, anal retentive, disappointing? So we'll start off with, let's do the reverse order this time. We'll get Kevin going. Kevin, what is your, how did you feel about all the players you played against?
I think Kev might be having some.
Yeah, I was
issues.
hoping to get him on before he dropped, but I guess I was out. I see him moving, but oh well. We'll leave Kevin out of this one for now, and just keep going with the regular order. And Evan, go ahead.
Yeah, as Matt said earlier, we were a team together. Our opponents were great. They were friendly. As was alluded to, it was our first big bolt action tournament, and there were some things we had questions around, and it was always a very friendly philosophical discussion around how to answer. It was no like, you shall do this and arguing. There's no arguments. It was all very friendly. Any issues were resolved quickly, amicably, and there was one issue in one game that we had that neither team knew. Like, it was some random scenario, and it was like, okay, cool. We went and found the TO, and he was there, and it's like, okay, this is how it is, and this is the page you do it. So, yeah, it was good. The first team, I think it was, that we played, the guy was super helpful. I played French, he played French, and he was like, in future, think about this unit because of this, because of that after the game. So it was beyond just the game. It was like future growth of army as well, which was awesome.
Excellent. Matt, anything to add to? Or sorry, Evan, I missed the score you gave it.
I didn't give a score yet. Do we do a team score? Because this was a team.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll bring Matt in, and you guys can argue over what it is. Matt, anything to add to Evan's points there?
No, like you said, the first game was, I think, the best matchup for us because they both knew their armies, and the one guy knew our armies, so he's giving us hints on what to do later on. And I even ran into him second intermission, I guess, just before the third game, and I was like, "Yeah, I did exactly what you told me to do, and it worked out great." Which was I had a Polish tankette, stupid little tank that you can basically hide behind a fence, and it has a light autocannon. So up against their armor, it wasn't very great for the front armor. It could do some damage, but you had to be lucky. He's like, "Yeah, you should be bringing that one on in reserve and outflanking."
Yeah.
Yeah, and like didn't really think of it. And he's like, "Yeah, because you get that thing hitting on the side of their armor, and people start to think about it." Okay, yeah. So I tried it one of the other games, and it worked out great.
Excellent.
And
So,
to build on that, so Matt could recce away from being shot at, and because it's so small, he reversed back behind a wall, and the wall was literally a centimeter taller than his tank was.
Yeah.
It was awesome. The guys are like, I can't see the thing. It's like, well, you can't see it, you can't shoot it.
yeah.
That's what Recce does,
100%
right?
hidden. Yeah.
But all
So-
the opponents were really well knowledgeable in their armies and the game. They were there to have fun, which is what we really wanted. Like I'm obviously looking at our standings. We weren't there to win. We just wanted to go throw dice and have some beers,
No,
which we didn't bring.
I think that was the feeling most of that. Let's just go and learn
Yeah.
what to expect. So, amalgamate a score between the two of you.
What do you think? 5, 6?
What are you gonna say?
No, you used to. I asked you first.
As I was gonna go the opposite. I'll say 5.
Okay, I'll say 6. There we go.
All right.
Okay, no, we do it at 5. 5.
5? 5 it is.
Yeah.
No, 6 it is then.
Oh, rounds up anyway. I don't know. I don't know how Craig's going to do it. He might just give you both a 3 because your sportsmanship right now is...
For you.
There's the sport.
Yeah.
That's bad opponentship,
There we
Matt.
get it.
I'm out. Goodbye.
Craig, let's see you next, just in case, because I see Kevin kind of popping in and out. I'm not 100% sure if he can do it. Like, it sounds like he's going to hear us, but he can't talk, so he can give you a thumbs up maybe on when you say something good. What did you feel?
We had it was good opponents. Our first set of opponents had what would turn out to be the best painted themed army at the doubles. It was the cricket English club town kind of thing. We'll have to
For the Americans and the Canadians, we're actually talking about the game cricket, not the little insect.
yeah, that's right. So that was good. They were good. They ladies in Sunday dress jumping through shrubbery. It was very suspicious of a little lady in a dress jumping over shrubs to attack my Germans. But yeah, that was a good game. They really knew what they were doing. Learned a lot from that game. Second game against British and South African armies. Again, fun. Had no problems, and was really a lot of fun. And then the third game, I think, was probably the best game. It was just absolute piss take. It was just messing about, like still having fun and playing the game, but it was just so laid back. And the thing I liked about it, they were all good games, no bad games. Even the first one where we were getting our asses kicked, but it was great. And and no rules queries, no rules disagreements. There was one I need to go figure out, and it varies from player to player, moving into rough terrain. But other than that, it was great. So I don't know. I'd say I'd say a 5. I give it a 5 because I give it a 6 if every opponent was giving me alcohol. So I'd say 5. Yeah.
They were trying to win.
Well, they would have won if they'd have given me alcohol, right?
That's true.
So Sean and I, we were teamed up together with, like everybody else, a non-conformist, non-optimized rando list of Finns and Italians. So Sean, what did you think of all our players?
Well, game number one was against the team and the player that did the best for the weekend, Dave and Chris, I believe.
Yes.
Yep. So the first game was great. Unfortunately, Dave had misinterpreted how his tanks were supposed to move, which in hindsight bothers me, but at the moment I didn't know about. And in the grand scheme of things, I don't really care about. Shame he didn't clue into that, but he was having fun. We were having fun, so it was a great game. So it was a tough matchup because we couldn't touch his tanks. We didn't come prepared for that kind of armor. The Finns and the Italians in the early war don't have anything that can touch a tank like that, unfortunately, short of one useless tank that I can take. So, but that was great. Player-wise, I enjoyed them. Second game, those guys were kind of like us. They were just there to have a good time. They were a little more knowledgeable, I felt, than I was.
No,
Because
second game was Katie and
Katie and Zach,
yeah.
Katie Pickle, I'm on record as saying that's the most Wisconsin name I've ever heard. So, yep, Katie and Zach for our second game. They were great opponents, loved them to bits, would happily play them or their friends at the next table anytime.
Who are not married, just if anybody was guessing, because I got
that was your foot
mouth,
in your mouth. Yeah. You just look at people and think, oh, you're playing a game together. You must be a couple. Otherwise, why would you two play together as just friends?
Yeah.
That doesn't I don't understand because you're male and female and I'm broken.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I was just excited. I thought they were married because I wanted my wife to play, and I'm like, you talk to my wife, so she'll play with me.
This is about our opponents. We can talk about your problems later. And then in the third game, we played a couple
we're
grognards.
drinking for that one.
Yeah.
All right. Third game, just a sec. A couple grognards who really were just there to have a great time. It was the third game. We hadn't been winning, so it was going to be a great game regardless. But these guys knew their stuff, had a really solid list, and it was that was the game where I started to understand what bolt action is, because I'm still trying to figure out the game bolt action. I didn't like version 1. I barely like version 2. Unlike Derek, I think the random draw is a little meaner than Age of Sigmar with the double turn, because you can sit there for 6 or 7 dice and do nothing while your opponent walks all over you, which I find a little cruel for random number generation, more so than any other game. But but then I started to get a feel for how the game works. I really started to like the game in that third game, even though I was really trying hard to get a tank to just move and shoot my opponent like a tank is supposed to do. But those guys really were, patient and having fun with us and really explaining, this is how the game works, kind of thing. So all that rambling to get to a 5, because 6 means there could be no better opponents. I'm sure there's better opponents out there. So I'm going to give them a 5 to say that I really enjoyed all 3 games and all 3 opponents. How about you, Derek?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. 5. My frustration, and the reason I bring it down from a 6, was it felt like every game I played, there were different rules. And I blame part of it on Warlord for having such open-ended definitions in their game. So it really makes for that lack of tightness, the lack of clarity on how some things should interact. But they're on record as saying that they are a relax and have fun kind of game. So it's our fault for playing it in a tournament situation. I get that, but it can bring some frustrations out. Like in our third game, I thought you were going to lose your mind on the third turn, or the third dice. You still couldn't move that tank. I honestly thought you were getting ready to lose it, and I was like, how am I going to recover to make these guys not hate us? and then he totally relaxed, and it was me at the end of the game. All I wanted to do was shoot this one effing Jeep, and we were going to call it because of time and everything else, and I said, damn it, I want my one dice, and then I just throw dice on the table. I didn't do anything, not that I had the dice to do it, but they were really cool about it. They're like, yeah, you go, oh, you fucked up, you couldn't do it, and there goes our G rating. But our second, aside of putting my foot in my mouth with Katie and her partner's friend, it was
Not her
fun.
husband,
Not,
just
I
friend.
don't know. I never asked. After left it at that. For those of
Her
you who are
husband was
listening
at
and
a
not
different
watching,
table
I'm
playing. Yeah.
waving my hands. I'm out of that conversation. She looked like she was having a great time wanting that KV to just land a shot. I'm not sure what happened either. Yeah, she just wanted to land that big shot, and I was cheering her on. Like, I really wanted to see that big howitzer hit something too. The one thing I found with our opponents though was we had a non-optimized list, and I think we placed higher than we probably should have, but that was because we were playing the scenarios, and
Yeah.
I don't think any one of our opponents, any of the teams actually thought about the scenario so much as they were rolling dice to kill units. I think maybe everybody was used to most dead dice wins. I'm not sure what it was, but even from our first game where we had no right to have as close a score as we did with against an army that we couldn't touch. So I think maybe the players, I'm ranking them a little lower too for that. Nobody really understood or had that concept. So I'm going to go with a 5. Because we really didn't have any rules issues, other than the fact that like each game it seemed like I was playing in it. And I could say that for the whole weekend. I don't feel like I played the same rule in any of the games that I played the whole weekend. It just seemed like every time I went to a new table, it was like, no, it works like this. I'm like, all right, that's how it works. Let's do it that way then. I don't care.
You mentioned
Yeah.
mentioned lists about how I forget your wording on it, but optimizing it. I think. Did you guys face a lot of one was infantry, one was armor?
Oh yeah.
Every time.
Okay.
Everybody.
So
Yeah.
I think that's where we messed up.
We messed up, yeah.
Yeah.
We had basically like Evan and I. Well, we complemented each other. He had artillery, I had
But
cavalry type
Scusi?
stuff.
yeah. I think part of that comes with our newness to the system, though.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not understanding that was an option because we've only ever played infantry, so we're just like, oh, let's grab my infantry list. You grab your infantry list. Oh, there's
Yeah.
shit. And it's not like because usually when we play, there's like a vehicle and a couple of
Yeah.
transports. But there it was like suddenly there's 3 tanks, and it's like, well, we got like one unit that's got anti-tank grenades, but it turns out anti-tank grenades are even more useless than they were when there was only one vehicle around.
Yeah.
So.
Technically, Sean, you could reach out and touch the tank. You just couldn't hurt it.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, give it a 5. And then let's move on to prize support. What was everybody's feeling on the prizes? Good, bad, indifferent? How much was there? What were the trophies like? Was there anything that happened during the tournament? Any prizes that were given out, like FUBAR award or something like that. So let's just keep it going in order. Unfortunately, we've lost Kevin, so the average is going to be a little skewed, but it's all good. Evan, what did you think of the prize board?
It was awesome. If I remember correctly, every team got something, and the prize support was amazing. They had a vast array of sponsors, so I'd give it a close to if not a 6. I don't know how they could improve that prize support. I haven't been to enough tournaments to judge it more than that.
Excellent. Excellent. Matt, what did you think? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the number.
6.
6? Okay. Matt?
I'd say a 5, just because gotta have some room for improvement, right? So no, but it was great prize support. I like their variation of the wooden spoon. here's a different game for you to try. Try your luck at this, and then maybe come back to us when you're better at dice rolling. Which thankfully we didn't win.
Yeah, thankfully.
I was totally expecting it, but yeah, it was lots of nice prizes there from all the vendors that, well, probably most of the vendors, at least. A lot of stuff that I was looking at, I'm like, gotta go check out the vendor.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Sean, how did you feel about the prize board?
I like the pregame swag. I like going to a tournament, and when you sign in, there's stuff on the table for you to pick up.
Yep.
That's always nice. Whether it's dice or whatever have you, those are my favorite tournaments. Just here, have some stuff.
And at this one,
Then
they had dice and a 45-degree.
45-degree marker. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
As for the prize stuff itself, well, so what they could do, Evan, that you do see at a lot of tournaments, is more prizes for brackets and best in class, like best US, best German.
True. Okay, I'm changing my score to 5 then.
There you go. Yeah,
Because there,
so
there were only two French armies, and I would have had a 50% chance of winning them.
So and
Now that I'm
4
pushing up
is
my
a great
glasses,
score,
Matt.
right? Like 4 is a great score. Be proud of a 4. I give them a 5. They had a prize for every team. They didn't have a prize for every player, but what are we? A bunch of gotta have prizes to play the game? No, you don't.
No.
So but 5s. But so I'll give them a 5. Yeah, prize for every team is nice. Prize for every player is better. Or more prize brackets with some random draws is pretty much the pinnacle. That's a 6. So I'll give them a 5.
All right. I'm going to cut in here, and I'm going to say I'm going to give them a 5 as well. I would have rather seen more delineation of best access, best painted, some more of the traditional ones. I was also at fault in this one, and this was a public apology to Sean. I was too busy talking to somebody else that I didn't hear how the prizes were going. So when I looked over my shoulder and saw Sean picking a prize, I ran up and grabbed something. And he just threw his hands up and walked away, and I was like, oh, is this only one per team? I'm sorry, Sean, I really didn't want this anyways. I just grabbing something I thought somebody back home would like, because generally, when it like Sean says, when it comes to prize support, I really don't care. Like there's it's a nice to have, but I've usually bought everything I want at that moment for that army, and I haven't thought about my next army. So anything I grab, I always feel like, well, if I don't use this, maybe somebody else could have. But I would have liked to see more delineation in that, rather than just go up and grab something. That's just me. I just think there's more ways, like best sportsmanship. Oh, that's something we never mentioned. This whole weekend, the 2 tournaments that Chicago Dice ran, the Combat Patrol and the doubles, they gave every player 30 points of sportsmanship, and you could only go down from there. And both tournaments ended with every player having 30 points left over. So it was amazing that way. But so a sportsmanship prize, maybe, I don't know how you would have did that. Everybody give yourself a thumbs up and buy a beer. Craig, what did you think of the prizes?
I'm going to give them a 4 for the prizes. Yeah, one.
Who's Simon Cowell now?
I know.
He is British.
That's right. Call that an act. Terrible. I think that I think more brackets would have been better. I think it would have been fun to if there's a theme for 1939, 1940 kind of thing, it would have been cool to have had a specific theme for that, or different brackets. Best garlic eater, great. I think that'd be great.
Worst army pairing, best army pairing.
Yeah, I didn't like the fact that the teams had to share the prizes. I think that now just I'll go on record. I don't care about the prizes, right? Like they didn't have to have any prizes for anybody who didn't come in a bracket. I don't care, because the stuff at the beginning, I grabbed a dice, I grabbed one of those angle things. That was cool. But the prizes were good prizes, but they weren't prizes that were good for doubles. They were good for singles or for combat patrol. But for the doubles, it just didn't work. So you ended up having to share stuff, and what you got to do, rip a book in half or whatever. So it kind of, for me, that I wasn't a big fan of that. And the other thing is, I'd love to have seen prizes actually during the tournament itself. So if there was a foobar prize or something, that would be cool. Like, give that out, or you get a badge or a go. I don't care, whatever.
Like
But
the sniper that shoots his FO?
No, that was the other.
Oh, that was the other one. Okay.
it wasn't the
Thinking-
singles, but that was a phenomenal foobar moment. And he got a prize. That was
Yeah.
Warlord Games' tournament. But yeah, that kind of thing, just fun things to add to that. But 4 for me is still good, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
I
above
think
average.
90% of tournaments I've been to, you do not get that prize support. So I'm not complaining.
All right.
So,
Summary of the results there, Craig?
yeah, I do. Yeah. Just before I read those out, one of the things we didn't touch on, I think this was an idea of Matt, was just touch on the quality of the tables. I think that we didn't touch on that, and I just have to say I think that they were phenomenal. Now these are from the community as well.
Yeah.
So it was the community that brought them in, well,
That
most
was-
of them in, but they were phenomenal.
And in the lingo of your homeland, that was bloody brilliant.
Yes.
Like having instead of trying to get a bunch and then ending up spreading it too thin or having it mismatched, having because that was one of the prizes was best tables, but having the community bring in those tables so that you knew you had a good solid table, and then you didn't need them all, so you could pick and choose which ones you thought were best too. Because I'm sure you probably even maybe pointed at some and said, "Look, that's really nice, but look at all we have." Like you're right, they were absolutely phenomenal.
And that's a big thanks to the whole community for bringing those out, because they were great tables. Like there was nothing unpainted. Great layouts, and people are taking a chance on strangers playing with their stuff and possibly damaging something that means a lot to them.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
That's something they definitely took a lot of time to do, because none of those tables were just scratch built last week. Like these tables were
those were proper good tables.
There was nobody that should ever be ashamed of those tables. To have them host at any tournament would be amazing.
Yeah.
We should put a link in both the description of this and on our website to that. There's the photo album on Facebook, and I think on Chicago Dice website as well.
Yes. Yeah. No, that'd be cool. We should do that. But yeah, I mean, you could compare that to Saturday's tournament by Warlord Games, which would not have scored a 6 for terrain, but that's for a different time. So the scores. So for venue, we gave 5 pips out of 6 for venue. Tournament organization is 5.5, so that's our highest out of the fields. Players, we gave it a 5 as an average, and then finally prizes, it was 4.8.
Excellent. Oh, I hate to do this to you guys, but we need an intermission because I need to refuel and refill on what I'm drinking. Hey, we can play that game. What's everybody drinking? Sean, what are you drinking? I've seen you had a couple of things. It looks like you moved from. Oh, what's in the glass, Sean?
Well, I started with wine brewed at a brew your own wine place in Burlington.
I'm getting a shout out as I didn't even ask for it. I love it.
Yeah.
If only they would sponsor us.
The proprietor happens to be one of the 5 people in this meeting. But yeah, so I started with that. But then as that ran dry, because I was torn away from a backyard party at my neighbor's there, I've just switched to normal tea here. I've got a tea steeping inside of my D20 cup. So that's I'll be finishing the night with my tea.
Nice.
Yeah.
Matt, what were you drinking? I saw you throwing up a beer
Oh,
bottle.
so you're going with me, knowing that the
actually, I didn't even just
no
made that
name
connection
brand.
too.
The no-name brand from the same winery.
Yeah.
Wine
I guess
Actually,
I should sponsor this show because I'm drinking my own wine too.
think
Oh,
you
and just so
should.
you guys know, my still showed up today.
Ooh.
So first thing on the docket is going to be some rum, and then I'm going to see if I can get that apple shine recipe from Dave. So
Ooh,
apple pie.
that apple
definitely
pie,
got to get
yeah,
that
yeah.
apple pie.
So, and if you're listening to this, Dave, get on Telegram so we can get you in our group and chat with you.
Yeah.
Evan, what were you drinking?
Just a commercially bought beer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
sorry.
I don't even
Yeah.
know if you can call that beer.
No.
Craig, I haven't seen you drink anything, so I'm assuming you're either turning around or pausing your show, or
I'm actually sobering up from. I've been painting all day in the garage, so I've just been drinking beers all day. So
Nice.
I'm just on Sprite. Just a bit of a sugar shot.
All right. So let's all go refill our drinks and come back after the intermission, and we'll carry.
And we're back.
Okay, so let's start with Matt and Evan. Let us know, where do you get, what gear selector did you guys use? What was your approach? How did you think opponents would react, or what you would do with opponents, and what did you learn at the end of this?
You want to start, Matt?
Sure. Well, so when we got back into bolt action, I was building a DAC army, and I was hoping to play that at Adepticon, but then we actually read into the rules and found out it was early war, so didn't really want to do another early war German. So looking at the possibilities and having a bit of a Polish background with my family, I thought that'd be fun to play. And
Nothing
having
to do with the overpowered Polish cavalry at all.
They're not overpowered. They're horses. Come on.
That
Horses with
apparently
sticks.
don't die or get shot.
And get to attack a lot. If you get them there. So yeah. And then because of that, I like to look at an army and figure out what's unique about it versus everything else. So obviously with the Polish, it's the cavalry. And built it with based around 2 units and a couple units of infantry. They have some really ugly tanks, which are a lot of fun.
Yeah, makes it terrible.
Well, yeah, it's like the one watched a video on it and they called it the cockroach, which it really is. So that was fun. And the Vickers with the twin turret MGs. And I guess after I kind of came up with that, Devin, I think he always liked French.
Yeah,
And I think he was able to make a list that complemented mine nicely with some artillery in that, which I was lacking. So he could kind of hold down the back part of the board while I run ahead and get myself killed.
Right.
The Polish donkeys die quickly when they get machine gunned.
I'm glad I'm not with you next year.
We'll have to figure out if that's been decided or not later. Evan, where did you get your French theater? Which theater selector? What brought you into that?
So this is from back when I used to play in Cape Town. It was often we would have we used to play very large games or multiple games in a library hall. And I always had the theory around making a Vichy French list that was effectively a swing list, because you could either go Axis or Ally. Because when France surrendered, they sent out the message to the different colonies and said, basically, you're on your own. And up until they started getting either Axis or Allies equipment, they had their own weird equipment, most of it left over from World War I. So that's how kind of I started off the list. And then, as Matt said, look at something which could complement his list in that he could be the attacking force. I would sit back and effectively be the fire base. And yeah, that's sort of pretty much in a nutshell how we sort of came up with it. Tried to complement each other. It didn't always work the best, but hey, we had a hell of a good time doing it. So
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
the main thing.
And what did you guys learn from your 3 games playing against the various opponents?
Next year, take something infantry, something armored.
Yeah.
That full stop. Done.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of infantry that moved slowly. Couldn't really take objectives. Don't place your artillery side by side.
Yeah.
Or at least 6 inches
I knew
apart so you can run the guys through back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good then. I guess any changes aside of like not bringing an armor platoon, do you think there's something you could have changed in your list that would have helped alleviate the fact that you had no armor? Like, is there a unit that you're like, man, I really wish I had this unit in my infantry army?
I don't think it's so much a list thing. I think it's natural that it's psychological human nature that when you stand at a table, you're at doubles, you're immediately thinking, you've got the 6 foot wide table, you're immediately thinking, this is my half, and this is my teammates' half. And after, I think it was the second game, we cottoned on like, actually, no, let's start putting things intermingled. And that really helped us.
I thought we did that right from the beginning, actually. Our practice games leading up to
So
Adepticon.
No, more sort of less domestic and more
more tactical.
You're my gaming wife now.
No, you're my gaming wife.
No.
More of a actually taking 5 minutes and talking and discussing. This is our half of the table. What would complement? What terrain complements the piece of equipment? So, for example, like in the one game, I had a flash of inspiration. It was really a random, out of the blue flash of inspiration. There was this little built-up wadi kind of pond lake thing, and my artillery piece fitted in that. And because of that, they got cover from the wall of the little river or the little lake thing. And it was like, cool, that worked because that's the rules allow it. So that worked. But it's kind of that kind of terrain. But I think that'll come more with playing the game more as well, utilizing the terrain more.
Yeah. Craig, you're on your own.
Yeah, my partner Fubart. So
yeah,
it's down to me.
Huge. What theater selectors did you guys use?
We both used Battle of France because Evan had already buggered off. We'd taken it over, so we played Germans, and we were both here lists. Mine actually, we changed a lot our lists. Actually, mine wasn't too bad because we sent them to Bo Mortenson's channel to be reviewed. Actually, mine, Bo liked my list, thought it was pretty good, and tore Kevin's new ass. So we had to change it.
Not as bad as some.
Not as bad as some. But yeah, I quite like early war German, the Blitzkrieg when it worked. Tactically, it's a great approach to warfare that caught everyone off guard, but it doesn't really work so much in bolt action, which is a shame. It'd be cool if it did. But yeah, so we did that, and then that was our selectors. And what would we do differently or approach? I think our approach would be to have an approach. I think the problem is we didn't really know what we were doing, right? Because been playing for about 6 months or so. So I think the biggest thing that I took away from it was, and I think you mentioned it earlier, was that there were different rules. People were using or interpreting different rules. I'd want to go back and be more confident in the rules that we're playing, and be like, no, that's not how it's played. This is,
Yeah.
you know, or this is how it's played. It doesn't say that in the rules. Where can you do that? So,
Yeah.
not to be a jerk about it or to lawyer it, but to say, no, this is you, because I played in the singles as well, and over 6 days, the run into terrain rough ground rule was different 6 times. And I was like, but in the book it says you can't run unless it's an assault, right? So you stop outside. So I'm like, so I'd want to feel more confident next time going with that. And then the other thing is really having things in the army, in our army list, that are designed to support each other and have an outcome. That's what their job is, to do that. And I think this time we were, well, this kind of does this and this list does this, but I've got a tank, but what's the tank's job? The tank didn't have a job, right, in the German list. Whereas in the next list, if there's a tank, that tank's going to have a job.
Yeah.
And what's going to do. And it's not going to be on its own. It's going to be with other units. So I think that was a big learning for me.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Sean was my partner, and before we go into what our approach was, these guys decided they wanted to do doubles, and I thought, oh, that'd be a cool idea, but Sean was going to play in the tournament of the company that shall not be named except for by... No, he's not
Sean,
gonna...
I will name them. Games Workshop is the name that
AOS?
we're not allowed to. Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
there, absolutely.
specifically AOS. I mean, they have Kill Team, they had Far Cry, they had
Yeah.
everything there.
Yeah. Oh, they,
Even
yeah, of
even
course,
Underworlds, even Underworlds was there.
But my point being, he was nice enough to pull out of that event and say, you know what, Derek, I'll play with you. But if I play with you, I'm playing Italian. To which I was like, I don't care. I don't have any Axis armies. I've got some Germans, but I really don't like playing the Germans. I've never liked playing the Germans. So I'm going to play the Finnish. And it was interesting because we had to figure out a way that the Finnish and the Italians actually played together, because I was only allowed 2 theater selectors. Unfortunately, one of them, neither of them had access to the Kapikowski, so the biggest punch of the Finnish was not available to me. But I think we got lucky on our list by being double infantry, because we had, as soon as we saw the player pack, we immediately said, hey, I have to deploy half my army on your half of the table. We've got to mix it up. And we did that right from game one. And I think that kept us, like I said earlier, I think that kept us way higher in the rankings than we deserved to be, given how slapstick our list was. But my theater selector was, I can't remember now, one of the 2 that was allowed to be the Finnish. And Sean, what was, I have to this day do not know what theater selector you used, other than it was a bunch of wine drinking Scusi madness.
No, I simply used the Italians in the it's called in Italy. It's called Armies of Italy,
Oh yeah.
and it was we used the Greece. I used Greece for this one,
Oh okay.
but it was it was a simple Italian force.
Yeah.
But I mean, for this tournament, for what we knew, I think we did all right.
Yeah, I think we did. Like I said, I think we did better than what we probably should have. One thing that I learned is I had 7 dice, you had 11. I think next time we do dice, we should be much closer in the poll, because there was points in all 3 games where I was like, Jesus, I just need a dice and I don't have enough in that bag to get one.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a...
Yeah. Well, our biggest problem, we kept running up against tanks we couldn't hurt.
Yeah. But even then, like, just having that dice to make a maneuver to move someplace, to get a little bit safer from the tanks, or pull, like you did in the second day, you did a great job of pulling that KB2 to the side by giving her those targets that was just unlucky that she never managed to land one shot on you. But that was also a learning outcome that I would say, after seeing the scenarios, I don't know anybody out there that doesn't know, you couldn't take an objective unless both team members had an infantry unit or artillery unit there.
Yep.
And you couldn't contest one if your teammate didn't have another infantry and or artillery unit at that objective.
Yeah.
And that's how we almost squeezed a win on round one, because we just kept looking at each other, and I could see that Sean knew exactly what I was thinking, that like our opponents were not playing the scenario, and the fact that we had two infantry units, we had a bunch of infantry units that could run around the board together to take the objectives and kind of park on them. Anything else?
Yeah,
Well, I
my,
think what's going to be different next year, though, because the theme's now mid-war is 42, 43, is that you're going to have lots of anti-tank. There's Panzerfaust and stuff now.
Yeah. Yeah, so
not for the Italians, but for
Not
the
for the
for our list.
Yeah. What else can you think of, Sean?
So, Derek, tell us what Bo thought of your list.
Oh no, this list he never saw. You're talking about my singles list, and anybody that wants to see Bo cry, look or come close to crying. If it wasn't a laugh, I'm sure his first reaction was close to tears before he started to laugh, or just get real polite like a Canadian and go, "Good luck." You can look at Bo's channel and look at him do Derek's finished list, and how he didn't put a big LOL emoji behind it, I don't know, but he's a great guy. I have since sent him my finish. I want to say it was 9, but maybe it was 19th. I can't remember. Way better than 19th.
It's the 19th.
Yeah, well, I can't remember how many people played in the singles event.
How much
It was 32. I wasn't 9. Maybe I was 19.
No.
I thought there was a 9 in it. Anyway.
No, I think you were 11th with an asterisk, weren't you?
Yeah, because my second round opponent was so scared of the finish he didn't show up, and that was the only. Yeah, that was interesting, but yeah, Bo is awesome. He reviewed pretty much all of our lists for one of the events, and he was his regular Bo self, which was awesome. But he did give me a kudos, and I think it was more of a, I can't fucking believe you placed that high. Good job. I even sent him a picture to my first round opponent. I had your name down. It will be in my battle report. I did send him your picture with the Kroot line of defense on the back edge of the board with you smiling with a double thumbs up. So he did see it. So back to topic. What would you say our learning was, Sean? Did you learn anything other than more anti-tank required?
Oh yes, sir, I did. I learned a lot. Not just more anti-tank required. Maybe not to play the game so helpful if we wanted to win. I don't know if I care about winning so much, but the Age of Sigmar scene in the local area is full of a bunch of high rollers who are really super good at the game. So they're not afraid to tell you everything you're supposed to be doing. So I came into this game, every time I saw my opponent doing something they weren't supposed to be doing, I'm like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. What you should do is, and I'd help them, stay on mission, stay on target, stuff like that. So maybe not do that.
I just want it noted that he never helped me. He fully let me go do stupid things.
I'm not sure we did a lot of stupid things, but yeah, you're right. And then for list construction, this game particularly favors the low shot. The low shot tank is not so useful. The lots of dice tank is very useful. The HE template is very useful, and then the stupid underpriced units are very useful. So if you want to win the game, source those out. You'll find them. Go watch Bo. He'll show you the top lists, and it's nothing but those things.
Yeah.
That's great. Or here's my plan. We just build a really good display board. So that's what I want to do for next year. Is I just want to build a really good display board and not worry about the min-maxing bit so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So on our website, guys, you will see these lists being posted, and possibly some bat reps or notes of how the battles went, how the rounds went for this, and yeah, they will be posted. And you can also see our bios on our website for all these clowns and various nicknames that we've been given. And what are you guys' plans? What are our plans for next year? We even discussed this. Is it same teams? I thought it was same teams, and then Matt's saying it's not. Are we gonna Russian roulette it?
Names in a hat? Are we putting names in a hat?
It's definitely not keys in a bowl.
Wow. Right there. I'm only upset because you beat me
Craig
to it.
jumping in. So we're married.
Shows your age. You know what that is.
I don't know. I think that Matt and I discussed the plan, and Evan and Kev had discussed. Well, Evan's trying to suggest a plan to Kev.
So
So
John, you're stuck with
maybe
me again, baby.
stuck with each other again. Yeah. So I think that was it. I think the biggest thing was that we all agreed that really we need to take our diorama display board A game next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is because there was just so many beautiful
So
boards there.
we
It was
went down
fantastic.
there.
We must have spent. Sorry, we must have spent about 3 hours on the drive back discussing how to make a display board that has 2 teams on it,
Yeah.
like thematic kind of.
So when we went
See.
down, I made us all boxes with a nice drawer on it, and a nice big deep box you could make a diorama on the inside. Yeah, that was. Although I thought it was a cool idea, we got down there and that was like subpar, huge subpar.
Hey, it was better than nothing, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
better.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
don't know
it
when
went
try-
down with- if you look at
think
the
the box
results,
even-
it does score you.
yeah.
We did get points for doing it.
I think the box you made would be great for some store events and that.
Yeah.
Having the tray, like the pull-out drawer for books and lists and dice and everything. It's good for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Adepticon, we gotta step up.
We need to up it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, I know this was a shorter intermission, but I drank faster, so or a shorter segment, but I drank faster, and obviously more because I can't tell the difference between the two. So let's take a quick intermission, and we'll be right back, if that's okay with everybody. And we're back. It's going to be a quick little hobby project that the club's doing. We're going to see what everybody's up to and where everything's going. So, Craig, why don't you lead us in this one?
Yeah, so, well, I'm going to go straight to Sean because I think he's the only one who's actually going to an event in the next 4 weeks. So, Sean, where you?
Event. I'm going to a couple events. I'm signed up for 2, sir.
The life of a
Great.
single man.
Go on, lay it
Ladies
on him.
on
What is it?
They're both Age of Sigmar, my next 2 events. I'm going to GT in London, and tomorrow I'll be at an RT in St. Catharines.
All right, and what army are you playing with?
This will be the Fire Slayers because it's their turn, and the current meta, they work well into the current meta. If you like to just, the boards are small, you can walk to the middle and chop a bunch of things up with your axes. So it's a fun day if you like rolling lots of dice and fishing for 6s, which I do actually.
You did it to me the other day as well.
That's right, yeah.
He's the king of the 6s, that's for sure.
Yeah, we played bolt action yesterday, and he just said, "Oh, my mortar's going for your
You
25
didn't go in a
pound."
building, you did.
No,
I
he didn't.
did not.
Okay.
I did not.
All you have to do is roll 6s. That's all you have to do.
And he just put a
Six,
mortar on
six.
top of it and blew my bloody 25-pounder up straight off. First shot.
If you can roll 2 6s in a row, you can use mortars.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
all you got to do.
But I got my revenge. I won the game in the end. But yeah, that was
That's
just
true.
like
Yep. Yeah.
that was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Turns out
It's
they're a thing.
funny.
Yeah, so I hate buildings in bolt action. They always say welcome, friendly, come sit down, have a drink, and then I get blown up.
Then the roof falls on your head.
Roof falls on my head, so
I
I've got to
know
stay
we've
away.
only been playing for a short time, but Craig, would you say, I don't know what percentage of the amount of buildings you got in that blow up and you lose a unit, but it's got to be close to, I don't know, 100% of the buildings you go in, you lose a unit?
Strangely enough, from what I remember at the Adepticon, Craig survived a building.
Okay, so close to 100%.
I nearly got wiped out in the building because I listened to Kev, who told me to go in the building. So I went to the building, and he only wanted me to go in the building to prove that I can go into buildings without artillery blowing me up. However, I lost half my squad from machine guns. So it was like, why did I go in this building?
Why did you listen to Kev?
That's the question. That's the question right there. Now that he's not
As he
here to
kept going on
defend
and asking
himself.
me, I was just like, I thought, well, you know, he's a military genius. I thought he knew what he was doing.
I think Craig's going to play an armored platoon next year, but just simply because he can't go into a building.
How much
Don't go
was
to bed,
Craig
that's right.
drinking when he was playing with Kevin? Just random question.
Not
Dunno.
enough, especially because the bar was bloody not open. Sean, hobby. What hobby are you going to be doing over the next little while?
Well, I'm currently painting up some more black powder. Going to add another division to my box of Waterloo.
No, that's British, right? You doing?
No, Waterloo. I'm doing the French right now. When
Okay.
I'm done the French,
Oh,
I'll
that's
start the
right.
British.
No, you'll do the
Oh.
British, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
And then the working on some planes for Blood Red Skies. Just have to finish putting decals on the Messerschmitts. Those will be good.
Cool. Okay. And we'll
And
cover that
then,
on another episode. Yeah.
Yep. And then, I've got some battle tech in the background. Back to Kickstarter for that. And then we'll wait and see what comes next for 40K this summer. I know all you guys have had your fill of it, but there's a new book coming out, a new version. They're doing the thing they did at 8th. They're doing it again for 10th, where they simplify it, make it,
Simplify it
sort of
until they
baseline it
add
again.
until they add all the complications.
Yeah, there's going to be about 6
Yeah.
months of some really good 40K playing. So I'll be getting in on that over the summer. I might even go to a tournament. We'll have to wait and see.
I'll join you with that. I'll throw my Space Wolves into the hat.
We'll line up a game so it comes out in June. Let's have a game in July, and then I'll be ready for a tournament in August.
Sounds good.
Okay. Cool. Matthew, what's your hobby focus for the next few weeks?
Well, you kind of screwed that up.
What was it?
You and I were talking about working.
He can't
on a
even
DM
walk
list.
and chew gum at the same time.
Who, me or him?
Both.
Or both. Both. Okay. No, because we were going to work on the Dieppe list. And
Yep.
now that's added to my pile of shame.
That's
So
right. Yeah.
hopefully we'll get back to that. But yeah. So
Is this the
next-
Dieppe Russian list for Adepticon next year?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So probably working on Soviets when they finish arriving. Got some of it today from Derek, and in the meantime, I guess until everything arrives, I'll work on some Blood Red Skies. I got some Hurricanes and Spitfires started. Got the base coats on them, and hopefully get them done before the rest of my Soviets arrive. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what type of Soviets you doing?
Armor platoon, because to be honest, I'm not that interested in the Soviets. And again, like with the Polish, I like to pick out what I think is their flavor. And for me, watching the old, the World War II back in black and white and that, you always saw the Soviets riding on the T-34s. So I like having the tank riders. So probably work on the Can't think of the list right now. The one you suggested to me.
Which one's that? Is that the
Operation?
Operation Uranus,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll probably
the
work on that.
counterattack of Stalingrad?
Yeah.
Sean's assistant has arrived.
Yes,
Yeah.
doing what cats do. Look at my ass.
So, yeah.
Evan, what are you up to?
Need to finish painting out the Messerschmitts for Blood Red Skies, and then see what happens after that. And then just shout out to the Lead Pursuit podcast guys who showed it to us at Adepticon and cost us a lot of money.
It's not that expensive.
No,
to
no,
put
it's-
out,
it's-
too.
it's not-
It's
not a
not
lot of
a
money,
bolt
yeah.
action for that.
No.
Yeah, true. But it's also now that Warlord has announced there's the compendium book coming out, and then there's the jets for Mig Alley and etc.
Yeah,
etc.
but you don't have to go into Mig Alley if you don't want. You
No.
can keep it all World War II.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, the multi-engine bombers is what I'm more excited about than Mig Alley. So yeah.
The Heinkel's. Yeah. Very
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Derek.
Well, I decided to get into Blood Red Skies with you guys because if I want to play it, sounds like I gotta have some planes to play on our weekly play game tonight.
Use your fingers.
Yeah.
Shinies.
Shiny. So I went with. I was actually surprised because Kevin got the zeros, and I thought I was the
Yeah.
only one that went Pacific Theater, and I got the Corsairs. So I got the F4Us, the Corsairs, Blah Black Sheep. If anybody's old enough to remember that show.
Oh, yeah.
They've been my favorite World War II plane my entire life. I built one with my dad when I was a kid, a little radio operated one. So that it's just, there was no way I was not getting those planes if I was playing with you guys. So when I saw them, that was really the decision maker for me. I saw that they had the Corsairs, and I'm like, yeah, I'm playing this game. I don't care. Sean and I have kind of got a rough idea for, well, not a rough idea. One of us is playing First Special Service Forces because First Special Service Force needs to be played.
That's
Adepticon
really
next
the
year.
only that's the bottom line, right?
Yeah. So I got Sean a coin, a challenge coin, and it is the First Special Service coin from the Mint. I am trying to get a hold of my uncle's challenge coin if he has one. If not, I want to get either his knife or his my great uncle, I should say, not my uncle. I'm not that fucking old. My uncle was a lieutenant in the First Special Service Force. For all those out there that hasn't met me beyond right now, so I'm trying to get some of his paraphernalia so that when Sean makes this amazing display board, we can actually put something historical in it. And I'm probably going to go with a British reconnaissance platoon and let him play the First Special Service Force. And so that's what I've been kind of looking at. Maybe grabbing some British and starting to throw some, because vehicles are so quick and easy to paint, even for me. Yeah.
I was thinking for the climbing piece, we'll just put like magnets on the bottom of them. So they'll still be the normal figures, but we'll have like ropes hanging down off the side and little magnets going
Like
up the side. So we'll stick them
1960s
on.
Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1960s Batman.
Perfect.
That's the vibe we're going
Are you
for.
gonna have a little pin coming out the cliff and like pushing one dude off every now and again?
Yeah.
Some dude
Somebody
falls
opens
down.
up a window and looks out of the cliff. Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're going. Again, we're kind of going at more at what we want to do, not necessarily what's most competitive. We're not really. I don't think either one of us is there yet, and I don't think either one of us will be there next year either. It's just too fun a game to play to worry about winning at all costs. Not that I think anybody that played at Adepticon that came in the top 3 was win at all cost players at all. That's not what I mean. But I just don't think we're. Well, maybe by then we'll be at that level, but not. I don't think with this list.
Well, if it goes like last year, if we play the mission, we got a solid chance.
Yeah. So yeah, other than that, I think that's it. I still have my Prussians. I got them based in Senethals, so I got to get them maybe start working on them. It's just like now that Adepticon's gone, I feel like I can breathe to kind of move into an army at an easy pace, not like that. Like go go go! You gotta get this.
You've only got 11 months, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but for our listeners, Derek is notoriously known for painting at Adepticon before the tournament, right?
On the road to Adepticon.
While
So you
driving.
did it last
Wow.
time on the road, and this time you
I did it this time in the Airbnb.
in the Airbnb, right?
I painted the vehicle that I.
It's 11 months, but still, it'll be a close call.
Yeah, it will be tight. I might be doing a little bit of painting down there. I actually enjoy painting around you guys. As much ribbing as you give me, that's probably the best time I have for painting. I hate just sitting here by myself. I always feel like there's something else I could do, and I definitely know my wife figures there's something I could do other than paint. So, yeah.
I also find that now that Adepticon's over, you almost get a hobby over paralysis. It's like there's so many things. There's like the Waterloo box we could paint. There's the Blood Red Skies. There's Bolt Action. There's like choose one.
And there's some MCP I want to paint for my kids because they want to get into it. BattleTech, and Conflict 47. My oldest literally saw my vampires and my werewolves for Conflict 47, and he said, "Dad, if I can play those, I'll play your historical games." So I was like, "All right."
There you go.
We'll see what he wants to play, and that new rule set to be dropping, soon enough that I could get something painted for him to play on a regular basis. That'd be cool too. Yeah. Your son's playing Japanese. I still have that box I keep forgetting to give you for the
that's right,
Japanese for your son. Maybe he'll want to get into bolt action. We're both roughly the same age, 11, 12, so they can be good father-son doubles. I mean, you actually have to play 47. Drag you into a game for one.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I was looking at the Conflict 47 range today, just seeing what there was out there. So I'll wait for the new rules to drop and what they come out with. There'll be new starter sets and stuff, I imagine. So we'll see where that goes. I'm going to be... So I came back from Adepticon and actually got into painting more British because I was going to go to the Canadian Tabletop Championship, but due to personal reasons, can't go now. But so because of that, though, I painted a load of Gurkhas and Bren gun carriers and a Stuart, not a Stuart, well, actually it is a Stuart, not Stuart. Yeah, so I painted that. I had a great time painting that. That was a lot of fun. And then, so now I think I've got to kind of build out some of the Soviets for next year's list. And I've got to paint my Spitfires for Blood Red Skies before my Mosquitoes arrive in the next week or so. So I need my Blue Skies, Blood Red Skies stuff all done. And then it probably into my British Waterloo stuff. So I need to get on with that. But yeah, it's good. It's busy. And I'm painting the gaming garage at the moment, so which is about done.
What, Kevin's not doing it for you?
No. I'm doing it. Although it's probably a bad idea for me to be in a building, right?
Well,
yeah, there is that.
Especially twice in one game. Turn forward, really? Again?
Yeah.
All right, everybody, let's wrap this up. It's getting late, and we're probably bored enough people out there. Just so everybody knows, we do have a website, www.dicehosers.ca. We got a couple videos up. Craig was talking to John Russell from Warlord Games. I was talking to Andy, who was the TO for Conflict 47. We got more podcasts coming. Right now, we're not sure how often, so keep looking, and you'll probably see one. It won't be once a week, that's for sure, for right now. We will have some... Sorry?
Maybe every 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, that's when we get more stuff to talk about. We will have some articles up. We're in the process of writing them up now. As you can tell, we're all just starting out and decided to plunge in with both feet and try to get every sort of media out there that we could. And yeah, you got anything to say, Evan, on the way out?
Nope, I'm good.
Matt?
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, no, you know me, I'm quiet.
Yeah, right. Sean, any last words, closing words? Play more AOS?
No. Let's. Can't wait till the next podcast. This was fun.
Excellent. And yeah, for
we
me,
we need a sponsor.
yes. I'm gonna see if I can do something amusing with the alcohol.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
said my
Okay.
bit
Put some sort of bumper in the intermission. That's like a commercial for your bottling business.
for my alcohol.
But it has to be absolutely ridiculously funny.
But the problem with that is the Americans, I don't think, understand the ferment on premise process. But I'll do it
Oh
anyway.
no,
for
you're missing what you're supposed to do. We're called the dice hosers,
what-
so it has to be a Bob and Doug type
Oh, okay,
commercial.
Bob
I
and
gotcha.
Doug.
I gotcha. I'll figure something out
So
there.
it doesn't matter if they get it or not. That's what it has to be.
All right.
The northern states of the US will get it. They'll
Yeah.
know because
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because they know
Wisconsin.
they're used to us driving down there buying cheap booze.
Calling out my friends in Wisconsin. Cheers.
Katie Pickle.
All the pickles in Wisconsin.
I got really nothing to say. I've already said it all, and I'll leave it up to you, Kai, to wrap it up and
Okay.
throw us away.
Okay, well, thanks for listening, and go visit the website. Cheers, everyone, and bugger off.